Welcome back to American Agenda. I'm Bob Sellers here with Heather Childers. The impeachment trial of former President Trump is set to take place next Tuesday. At least it begins then. This comes as Trump's legal team saying he will not testify or provide any statement at the trial. Meantime, the unprecedented removal of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene raising some concerns over the Democrats' power in Congress and whether Trump may be in danger at his impeachment trial. Joining us now to discuss, former member of President Trump's personal legal team and Newsmax contributor, Jordan Sekulow. Thank you very much for joining us, Jordan.
Thanks, Bob.
What's your take on what's going on here? First of all, is it constitutional? And if it's not, is there any review on that? I mean, who decides whether it is? Can the Senate just say, yeah, we're going forward, whether you like it or not?
So we're still on President Trump's legal team. We're handling other matters, but of course we're paying close attention to this one, Bob. And we at the ACLJ, through our constitutional law side, we're actually going to be producing a memo, almost like a brief, but very intensive, that we'll be distributing on Monday to all the senators, but we'll make it public as well, about why this is unconstitutional to try a private citizen for impeachment, why those 45 senators were correct, and why anything they hear over this next week or two of the trial, however long it takes, should not impact how they vote, because 45 of them have already said they had no jurisdiction. And if you have no jurisdiction, it doesn't matter what you hear. You have to vote to acquit at this point, since you couldn't vote to dismiss the case.
Okay. Now, you're the legal expert here. So, I mean, it's not like the Supreme Court could review this, right? I mean, you can't go to them. Okay. Let's take a look at the Trump legal team and what they are arguing at this impeachment. And it includes this. The protesters are responsible for Capitol Hill riots, not Mr. Trump. Trump is protected by the First Amendment, and it is unconstitutional to impeach a private citizen, which you just mentioned there. And he maintained a peaceful transition of power and performed admirably as president. And then let me give you the other side of this as we take a look at the Democratic arguments. Trump is singularly responsible for the Capitol Hill riots. He is not protected under the First Amendment as a government official, and Trump threatened the line of succession. When you look at their arguments, Jordan, where do you poke the holes?
First of all, that it's constitutional. There's a major hole there, because they act as if, well, since we can't remove him, it's automatic that we assume that because it says and, you can bar them from future office, that you can always do that. And that's just an assumption that, by the way, when they point to Senate precedent, the last time this happened to a former cabinet official, 24 U.S. senators who thought that former cabinet official did commit high crimes and misdemeanors, he resigned and they voted to acquit because they thought they didn't have jurisdiction anymore. So they tried to point to that in their brief, but they don't tell you the full story. So there's a major hole right there. The other hole is this letter that they sent to the president, asking him to come testify. We don't even know if they're going to allow witnesses at this, but this is treated like a criminal trial. In a criminal trial, the defendant cannot be called upon to testify against themselves or face an inference of guilt. That's something that comes out of the civil law. Again, if you can even have witnesses, someone taking the fifth, which this is, again. So you have them make these moves, these stunts, and I think it will be a parade of horribles. But this is an impeachment, not just of President Trump, but against all of President Trump's supporters. They're saying we're all responsible for that day because he is protected by the First Amendment. He's protected by Supreme Court precedent. They're just ignoring that.
Yeah, and I think it would be interesting also, people would ask the question, why is someone presiding over it, Pat Leahy, also going to vote on it? That seems like that's why you would have the Chief Justice sitting on it in a normal situation. Give me your assessment of how this unfolds. Is this going to be fast? Are the Democrats going to call a bunch of witnesses? And what the Republicans do in response, will it depend on whether they call a number of witnesses?
So I think so. So if there's no witnesses in this, and we fought hard in the first impeachment trials on the floor of that was a key vote to have no witnesses. And that still took 3 weeks of trial with no witnesses. Now, this is one article of impeachment with not as much facts. I think less due process, less information, only 2 hours of debate, no witnesses testified in the House. But again, the Senate Democrats have so far indicated they want a quick trial. I think that's because they know right now it's another loss, which means another headline that President Trump and his supporters can hold up, even from the Washington Post, and say, acquitted again. So, yeah, he's the first president impeached twice by a partisan House that gets acquitted twice by a U.S. Senate, which is actually in control of the Democrats now. But they're not going to have the 2/3 majority. 45 senators already believe they shouldn't even be there. I think the job of the Trump legal team, for what we're putting out to on Monday, is to make sure that those 45 senators who voted that way, Bob, aren't convinced. They don't take that parade of horribles and say, well, even though I said it was unconstitutional to be here, this looks pretty bad. Maybe I should vote a different way.
Okay.
You can't do that if you believe you have no jurisdiction. You shouldn't even listen. But if things go to witnesses, it goes a totally different route. And that could actually damage the Democrats, too, because the Republicans and, of course, the president's attorneys will get to call witnesses as well.
Okay, I've got 10 seconds. What different route are you talking about? They start bringing up what?
Well, we're going to start bringing up witnesses like the sergeant of arms who had to leave. Why didn't they bring in more security if they knew about these pre-planned events?
Gotcha.
How were the president's words the cause of it?
Okay, very good. Sorry that we have to go, Jordan. Could talk to you all day. Jordan Sekulow, thank you so much, sir. Folks,
Thanks,
we wanted to remind you, if you are out and about, you can take us with you. Used to be when you were at home, just watching TV, but now you have your smartphone with you. You can take us with you as well. It's the Newsmax TV app, and you can download it on your Android phone or on your iPhone, and it is free. It is unlike if you have to watch some of the other major networks, then you're going to end up having to go through some kind of subscription, most likely. So you got to pay for that. On this one, you download it, you tap on it, it pops up. That's why millions of people have downloaded our app and are watching us on over-the-top devices. Probably takes less than a minute to do it, so consider doing it in the break. Head on over to the App Store on your iPhone, your Android phone, and do it now. It's called Newsmax TV. We appreciate you watching us here. We appreciate you taking us with you. And we will be back with more of American Agenda after this.